Hello, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and today we're looking at a fourth submission by Victoria of her horse Dylan. Even though it said 3 on there, it is the fourth one. Just want to say how much better this horse is looking, much more improved behind. Just seeing him walking here, we can see that we still have some things to improve, and that we can see how his belly is still rather pendulous there. He hasn't really started to bring that abdominal muscle and wall up, but it's improving as soon as he gets going. But this is a wonderful stretch and so much more active than the last time I saw this horse. This is a huge improvement, and I know you've even just come back from a little bit of a layup, but the horse looks so much better. Now, right now, it looks a little fast, but that's okay. Sometimes these horses, we just have to get them moving, and then they're going to slow down as they get more over their backs and stay deeper. Now, this is all right, just to let him canter a little bit here. It's not too bad a canter. We wouldn't want to do too much canter like this. He's pretty hollow in this canter, but he comes back to a nice trot, and that's the important thing. But he is so much more active behind. I want you to compare this video to the videos I've seen in the past, and he's just got so much better movement behind now. We can see that the hocks are starting to make a nice circle, as we like to talk about, and so much more even and active and stretching into the contact really well. So I really feel like you're on the right track with this horse now. I mean, this is just so much improved, and of course I would continue to lunge him every day were I you, because this is improving him immensely, and even your under saddle work is a lot better. So this is just hugely improved. As I said, it's a little quick right now, but sometimes we have to get these horses just, moving actively forward a bit, and until they come around and get a little more working over their backs, and then you'll experience them slowing down. Now, once again, this canter isn't too bad, but really try to keep this to very short periods the way you are doing here, because he is kind of hollowing a bit in this canter. It's not as over his back as I'd like it to be. But once again, he does come back to a good trot. So I would try to keep those canters a little bit shorter than, for instance, this one is going right here. This is a little bit too long. If he breaks into it, what we always do, if we can't get our horses to move forward and they keep breaking into the canter, you want to push them in the canter rather than try to make them stay in the trot. Just make them move on a little more actively. But when he comes back to the trot here, this is so much better. He's stretching so much deeper into the contact, and he's a lot more over his back than he was. Once again, look at the hocks and see how they're making a nice round kind of bicycling motion there, and that's what we want to see. So that's hugely improved. I would just do a little less canter with him. But if you need to do the canter, that's perfectly all right to get him into this place where he's now starting to get to. So that's all very good and much improved over what we've seen before. Of course, what we're going to see a lot improved in the next few months. You're going to see the hole behind the saddle fill up more, and then you're going to see the loosening of that lower part of the neck. Like he is there, then that's really good. I mean, this is so much better movement than what I saw on the previous tapes of this horse. Immensely improved. So just stay on this program. Just what you're doing is just right. I would do this every day before I rode him when I have horses at this level. Because when they're hollow, it's very hard for them to lift their back. So that's the point of the lunging, is we can strengthen a horse if we do it correctly. And I really like how you're lunging. You've gotten very good at this. See how you have a direct line to the horse's mouth. You're not letting it have a big loop in the line, which I see so many people doing. So this is really good work. That's a huge improvement on the lunge line than what I saw before. Right there is a really good trot with him. So again, you can see how he starts the canter a little hollow. It's getting better as it's going here a little bit, but once again, I keep that to very small periods of time. If you cannot do it at all, would be best, but if you need it just to get him moving, or if he takes it on his own, once again, if he does take it on his own, push him a little faster than he wants to go, so he doesn't think, oh, well, I'll do a lazy canter instead of a good trot. So we want to kind of use that idea of little reverse psychology there, in other words, that we take whatever they're doing and we make it into a movement and make them work a little harder than they want to. Then he comes back to this beautiful stretch, and each time you do after the canter, it's better. So this is just immensely improved. And you can see even in the trot work now, his belly is starting to pull up. You see that abdominal wall strengthening there a little bit. So keep up the good work on that. That was just the way I'd like to see it. Even coming back to the walk here right away, this is a much better walk than what we saw in previous videos, much more active. And just keep working on that to get it longer and more swinging. But compared to what I saw in the past, this horse looks to me like he's beginning to develop some sense of where his back end is. In the previous videos, he looked quite disconnected, and nowhere nearly as active as what you're getting here. So this is all good. Very good walk work there. That's starting to be better. Getting him stretched down as long as you can, keeping that activity. Now your walk, as I always say, it looks like it's going somewhere. It's starting to look like it's going someplace instead of just kind of dragging his hind end around the arena. So really, really nice work and huge improvement. And even as you said, he had some time off. So this is greatly improved. You know, sometimes time off can be a good thing rather than a bad thing. We always look at it that way. But, you know, once we get training going correctly, what you find is that, you know, horses will generally start where they last left off. So, you know, or at least you'll be able to get back to that place very, very quickly. So horses that have been trained in this classical style, if they have some layoff, you know, they have learned how to work over the back, so that when they come back to work, they immediately start working over their backs much faster. So you don't lose everything you've done, and that's the important thing to realize, you know. So much better, much improvement in the walk here. Same thing when we go to the trot, and I like how you're not fighting with his head there. He has a little difficulty getting there right away, but you're not trying to force the head down, and that's the optimal process there that we're looking for to have happen, where you just send him back forward underneath himself. That's all you need to do. That's what it means. Remember that forward means to engage forward under the body, and this horse is engaging forward under the body much, much better than he was, and much more active than he was in previous videos. Now you can still see how he has a bit of a hole behind the saddle there. As I said, that his back still dips down. So once again, you wouldn't want to bring the horse up until you see that starting to fill up. So when you see the hole behind your saddle disappearing, which it will if you continue to work him the way you're working, because you're getting him to a really good place now. I said, once again, it's still a little flat-footed. There's not a lot of thrust happening yet, but there is a little bit. And in the previous videos, there wasn't any at all. So this is a huge improvement of over what we saw in the past. Activity is really good. I noticed him swishing his tail there a little bit. Looks like he's just responding to your leg there. You might want to just, when I see horses swish around like that a little bit, sometimes it can tell me they're uncomfortable a little bit about something, but sometimes it just means that they've never gone forward before and they're just being a little resistive to that idea. But be sure and check your saddle fit always, because sometimes that can be the biggest part of the problem. And here he gets a little high-headed with you, but you do just the right thing. You don't get in a fight with him, and most importantly, you don't slow him down. This is what most people do in dressage today, is they miss the point. You know, if you slow the horse down in order to get his head down, you've missed, he's no longer working over his back. So the way you're approaching this is really good. And once again, the activity this horse has is so much better. Now, once again, it's a little quick right now, but once you get him swinging and he develops a little more, you'll find that you'll be able to slow him down, and yet you'll still be able to keep that deep step under the body. So, and I really liked how you handled that last little bit there. You know, he got a little high-headed for you, and you just sent him forward. You didn't get in a fight with your hands. That was just what you want to do. This looks really good. I like this. It's so much more consistent. Now it looks like there's a rhythm to this horse, whereas in your previous videos he had very little rhythm and looked like he was kind of dragging his feet along. There you go, deep into that stretch. That is so good right there. Now that's where you want this horse to be, right there. We'd like to just keep him right there until you kind of experience the thing that I'm talking about, is he will start to get deeper, but he will also slow down. And when he gets deeper and can keep this rhythm and keep that action in his back end, then you'll be able to slow down a little bit. So this is really, really good. So you want to just keep him in that frame there, starting to add some simple leg yields into the process now, and even a little shoulder four you could start with him. But remember that the position of the back and the rhythm of the horse guides us. Remember, if we lose rhythm, it tells us that you're losing the gymnastic quality of the exercise. So I see people all the time, even some who have their horses going pretty well, and then all of a sudden they're doing some circle that's so small that they can't get the horse to maintain rhythm. As soon as you lose the rhythm, you must just let everything relax and send them back forward, and once again reestablish that forward rhythm, which you are doing beautifully in this tape. This is really well done. You keep up the work like this, and this horse is going to transform beautifully, which he has already done. Once again, go back and compare this, and those of you at home who are watching this, compare this horse's back end now to what she had in the previous videos, and there is a huge improvement. You'll see over the next 6 months, of doing this, even a few months, you'll see that hole behind the saddle beginning to change. And we can see how now he's begun to pull that abdominal wall up, because that tells us also that he's starting to work through his back. In other words, he doesn't look so like his, it has that look of a pregnant mare, so to speak, where the belly's hanging out. So that's much improved. It's got a little ways to go yet, but it's really getting there absolutely beautifully. This is a huge, huge improvement. Really nice. Once again, right there. That's what you want to see. And then once you can get that, you simply add simple movements to it. I think you're ready to start doing some leg yields, maybe a little shoulder four, but only for as long as you can maintain that rhythm. Once again, this is Will Faerber with a fourth update from Victoria and Dylan. Huge improvement in this horse. Keep up the good work. This is absolutely beautiful. Very nice indeed. Look how soft he is in the bridle. That's what we want to see. And how focused the horse gets.